look.
This empty chair represents the addict who died today, not knowing recovery was possible.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this wonderful episode of The Empty Chair for the addict that didn't make it. Tonight's an amazing night, and ladies, as you're tuning in, don't get jealous over the two men I'm in here with. So, but thank you all for tuning in. As always, I like to first off start off by dedicating our show. This is Tony C., who lost his battle to addiction December 12, 2018. And he was also a good friend to this gentleman sitting next to me. So tonight's show is dedicated to Tony, and I'm sure he's missed by his family, friends, and especially the guy next to me. Mm-hmm. So, and that's why we do this show, you know, for the addict that didn't make it, didn't know recovery was possible. So thank you for tuning in. I just want to thank our sponsors, which is Alternative Home Healthcare, Circle of Hope, Cornerstone Services, Essex Companies, Essex County Outreach, Greater Lawrence Family Health Center, the Haven of Hope, Lawrence Methuen Community Coalition, Methuen Events, Tidal Boxing Club in North Andover, Top Sale Addiction Treatment. And last week when, or my last show when Phil was on, was it last week, Lou, that I was here, or the week before? With Phil.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. I know Phil put a plea out there that we didn't get our funding from the state for MVP ASAP for the year, and everyone was stressing out. And since then, we received some personal checks. I just really want to say thank you to Diane Cretion, Phil and Fran Leahy, Claire Spencer, Cheryl Tjalma, love you, girl. The Peralt Chiropractic office out of Methuen, and Francis and Tom Gradswicks. So thank you all so very much. And I also have some good news coming in, also in regards to a grant that we applied for, and there's a great possibility that it's $100,000 coming my way, $25,000 for the next 4 years. So thank you all for helping us stay afloat during this time, and God willing, by the time that paperwork gets in, I'll be able to come back on my next podcast to say it was a definite. So I also want to thank Costa Broadcasting for allowing us in here. They haven't kicked me out yet. I don't know what's going to happen after tonight.
Well, tonight might be a little...
And as always, thank you for Lou, for your professionalism and for being so invested in MVP ASAP. So all our shows can be found on Google, iTunes, Spotify, and now we have our own YouTube channel, which hopefully for the first time is going live as we speak.
I haven't checked yet, but we're supposed to be live on YouTube.
Okay. So if you want to be a guest, or if you want the show dedicated to a loved one, please reach out to me on Facebook. Just some upcoming events. We have the Celebrate Recovery. It's a 12-step Christian-based program that meets weekly. Tuesdays, 6:30 to 8 at the Rock Church in Plastown, New Hampshire. For more information, reach out to Diana. Her number is 603-489-7061. On Wednesdays, Celebrate Recovery meets in Lawrence, Mass. at 60 Island Street on the second floor. For more information on that, reach out to Richard at 978-376-6848. Also, we have an amazing Ray of Light Recovery Cafe. My friend Diana lost her beautiful son, Raymond, and she has just not let his death be in vain. And she's out there making so much noise. And so she started this new recovery cafe in Haverhill. So they have noontime meetings Monday through Friday. On Friday evenings at 6 p.m., they have an amazing group called Drop the Rock. On Saturdays at 7 p.m., they have a speaker meeting. And then on Sunday at 7 p.m., they study the Big Book. This isn't Big Book step study. It's a study of the Big Book, because there's two different things. And if you haven't gone through the process, you're not allowed to speak. So they're just studying the Big Book. So Ray of Light Cafe can be found at 92 Merrimack Street in Haverhill. It's above the A1 Deli. So for more information regarding anything that's happening at Ray of Light Recovery Cafe, reach out to Diana, 603-489-7061. I also want to remind people of the Movement Family. It's a weekly opportunity to feed the homeless in Lawrence. They meet at 1 South Broadway between 8 and 10 p.m. And they are looking for donations. So if you want to, if it's on your heart to serve, we'd love for you to come on down and help serve. or if you want to sponsor a meal, please reach out to Michael Gorman at 978-697-9691. And if you didn't catch the numbers that I'm spewing out as I'm just talking because I had a coffee, you can always just reach out to me on Facebook. So tonight, it's an honor and privilege to be with these two men. Again, the three of us combined together have 96 years of recovery, which is pretty powerful stuff. Big time if you think about it, and
huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
So I have Jersey Ed and Mike Miles, who's the father of podcasts. I don't know why you'd be the father. You don't look that old, dude. Why are you the father of podcasts?
The Podfather.
The Podfather.
Pod
Now I
Father.
get it. You
Yes,
didn't
there
say
you
it
go.
that way, you nitwit. All right. So, anyways, I just want to kick off the night with these two amazing men. If you're watching and you have any
is that us?
comments,
She's talking
yeah,
about
I'm
us?
talking about you two.
Oh,
Oh, no,
okay.
the two coming in.
Oh, those two guys.
Yes,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
yes.
All right.
So, yeah, we're just gonna hear your experience, strength, and
Absolutely.
hope, and just especially always want to put stuff out there for someone who's listening tonight that's suffering. Like, what do they do? So,
Exactly.
who wants to go first?
Well, one quick correction about Tony.
Yes.
Tony died sober, but he died
Amen.
of cancer,
Okay.
and he was a huge asset to the recovering community. He was my best friend, and he lost his battle to cancer. So
well, thank you for clarifying
I'm
that.
sorry. I just I just wanted to make sure he was a pioneer in the field, really.
Amen.
And
Well, he looks familiar. So, what was his last name?
Dodge.
And
Dodge.
where is he from?
From Florida.
Okay.
California, but Florida.
Yeah.
He ended up opening up a treatment center in Florida when it wasn't cool to open up a treatment center way back when.
What was the name of his?
Genesis House. It's who I work for today.
Okay.
Yeah, it's who I
No
work
shoot.
for today. Yeah. So and I figured it was coming up on his anniversary, so I said let's dedicate it to Tony. And
Perfect.
so we did lose a really good person in the recovery field. Unfortunately, that did help a lot of people. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, he's handsome. So
Yes.
Thank you. So, who wants to go first out of you two?
I'll experience
Draw
strength and
straight,
hope.
like
Yeah.
rock, scissors, paper. I don't care. Let's
well,
hear it.
I started my career.
Who are you?
Oh, Jersey Ed, of course.
Okay. Thank you, Jersey Ed.
AKA Ed Chancho. I am a person in long-term recovery, 27 years.
Amen.
But I do it one day at a time.
Yep.
We just finished the podcast, the Podfather and I, right before we came on here, and basically what we were talking about is that all we have is just for today.
Yep.
I couldn't wait to get in here to come talk about my experience, strengths, and hope. I couldn't wait to come and talk about how I did it. I don't expect people to follow my program, Cole, exactly, but if they can take a piece of it or listen to something that I have or that I got, and I'm able to pass along to somebody, because that's how it was done for me. All my sponsor, everybody who came before me gave me this path and this road to stay sober, and everybody who I come across, we do over on Friends in Recovery. That's the name of our podcast.
Yep.
We do 2 Zoom meetings a day, 7 days a week.
Yep.
And I go on there and I learned so much from some people who have 2 days to people who have 22 years, and it's just amazing. So I try to learn from anybody and everybody I can, the good or the bad, and the bad I take in consideration. I know not to apply that in my life, but today, I can do that because I'm sober, and I have a spiritual connection with my higher power in the world. And I'm able to listen to suggestions that I would never listen to before when I was drinking.
That's right.
I started drinking when I was about 13.
You got a late start.
I did. I know. But I was drinking coffee alcoholically before that, though.
Yeah, okay.
So and soda and all that, all that stuff. But I grew up in a household that was basically we revolved around alcohol. Friday night card games. We would sneak the coffee, while they were all getting drunk. And when I always said, when I grow up, I want to be just like my dad, a drunk. Like that was my idol. Well, God had a little, or my higher power had a little, a different meaning to my life. Thank God. And I just shit show. Oh, man, I'm like, okay, all right. Shit show after shit show. I decided that after 4 kids and not living a good life, that was time for me to get sober. Well, I didn't decide, but my my family decided.
Mm.
Getting kicked out of your house, having 4 kids, being on food stamps, government cheese, and then blowing all kinds of money on cocaine, drugs, hookers, and alcohol. That didn't make for a good family man. That didn't make for a good dad,
No.
and
Or a husband.
or a husband. Yeah,
Mm.
I was a shell of a husband then.
Yeah.
And it just took its toll on me. I got sober when I was 28. I know
Yeah.
I know I'm 30 years old, but we'll call it 27 years. But that was kind of what happened. My life was it was in a toilet. I had a good job, making good money, but we were living with my mother, and life was not good because of the drugs and the alcohol. That was the only reason why it wasn't good. I have a great family. Everybody was very supportive. And with 4 kids, you have to have a lot of help when you're that young. But I didn't care, Cole. I just didn't care about anything. I just shit all over everybody, and I took what was best for my addiction. And I never seen a way out of it. I couldn't see a way out of it. I didn't understand it until I was sitting in my girlfriend's house while my wife was pregnant.
I love you. Yes.
Hey, it's an honest program, right?
It is,
I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Shit, it goes on everywhere.
It does, yeah.
Mhm.
And getting drunk and realizing that this is not supposed to be the way life is supposed to be.
Right.
So I made the dreaded phone call
Yeah.
to the wife.
Yeah.
And I told her to come pick me up at the girlfriend's house. But who showed up? My mother and my ex-wife.
Whoa.
And that was a scary drive. It was about an hour drive home, and I was like, this is not good.
Yeah.
So I half-assed tried to do commit suicide. My wife, she's my ex-wife now, but she dropped me off in a hospital and said, see you later. Never took me back, which was good for me and her.
Yeah.
But I got sober and I ran with it, and I followed everything everybody told me. Well, actually, that's not true. Let me take a quick step back. I was in the hospital for 2 days, and I said, I got this. And I came out, relapsed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried to sell her on, everything's gonna be okay, blah, 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 the whole 9 yards. Ended up back at the girlfriend's house, and you know how that went. So, but I got back in the hospital. I took it serious. And because I knew that hospital would save my life. I really didn't know what addiction was. And I got into that hospital because it was running rampant in my family. I thought it was normal. When you're around it,
right.
When you're around it, you think it's normal.
Right.
But now I see differently. It's not normal. It kills families. It kills human beings,
Kills marriages.
Kills everything,
Yeah.
And needless to say, it's my ex-wife. We get along now. I have 4 kids. With my first wife, married to a second wife in recovery. We got divorced in recovery. I lost 2 businesses in recovery. But it's life on life's terms, and it's okay. I was able to pull through all that stuff.
Amen.
And they're learning experiences. That's what they were. They were all learning experiences.
Yeah.
If I didn't get into recovery, I'd have a grudge against everybody. I'd be pissed off at the world. I would be drunk. I'll be honest, I'd be dead. That's where I would be today. Yeah. We would not be sitting here talking. You wouldn't find me in a homeless shelter. You'd have to go visit my grave somewhere in Sayreville, New Jersey, where I grew up. And that's where I would be.
That's what I tell you. Like, if we were growing up in the times that these kids are in right now, I wouldn't have made it.
Oh, no.
You've been instantly fentanyl done.
Yeah, no. I'm I work in the treatment field, and I hear that they put fentanyl and cocaine now.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my drug of choice back then. 80s kid drug of choice was cocaine. So it was crazy. But I got a sponsor. A quick story about my sponsor. This whole show isn't about me, but I can make it about me, right, Podfather?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's all fun.
So my sponsor and I, when I was using, he was and sponsors are really important, guys. My sponsor is like my go-to, my rock, my I bounce everything off of them, no matter what it is, except for maybe the color of my underwear, what shirt I'm going to wear today. But otherwise, everything else gets bounced off of him.
My first sponsor, because you said how you came in and you were doing everything, I broke every rule. Don't get in a relationship. Hey, you single? And get a sponsor. It has to be a female. I got a male, and I'm grateful for him. He goes, and he knew. I just love how God worked, because he goes, you have 30 days to find a female, but I'm going to hold on to you for 30 days. And he goes, because we're not supposed to be doing this. And I really think if he didn't grab me and hold on, I would have walked out. Like I was just so
Yeah,
scared. I
yeah.
hated women.
Yeah.
You know, men were my friend. You guys don't borrow my clothes. You don't use my makeup, or
I might
Don't
steal your
steal
hat.
right?
Yeah.
So
Don't steal
like
your
I really,
boyfriend's.
when I came in the fellowship, like I hated women. I did everything you weren't supposed to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, exactly.
So,
Well,
but sponsors
so the
are cool.
sponsorships or sponsorship, and I don't care if you're a day in the program, find a temporary sponsor,
That's
guys.
right.
Find somebody who's going to work with you. Find somebody who's going to call you on your bullshit. Find somebody who's going to kind of pull you out and bring you to the, where you need to go. And that's what I still do today. But my sponsor, I work with him. And when I was in my addiction, he was the vice president of the company I worked for. He had piles of cocaine in his desk.
Love him.
Oh my God, he was great. He had Yankees and Mets tickets, seasons tickets. I built his house with him. He was just this really good looking guy, had all the women around him, and he was married. I was like, when I grow up, I want to be just like Andy. Right. Well, needless to say, 5 years later, I walk into a room and I see this guy who looks like Andy. And I'm like, Andy? He goes, Eddie? I said, what are you doing here? He goes, Eddie, if you don't know what I'm doing here, you better figure out what the hell you're doing here. I'm like, oh my God. And it was like a match made in heaven. He's been my sponsor probably 22 years already. So,
Amen.
So that's how this program works. God put this person in my life, in my using, and then he has 30, I think he has 37 years. And he came a little bit before me, but this guy is just my go-to guy. Of course, I got a network. Podfather is part of my network. I have that whole network. It's really important too to have a network, because if you can't get a hold of your sponsor, or if he's working or she's working, whatever it is, you need to find somebody to bounce something off of. And I still do it today. I still do it today. So
Nice.
and that's kind of my whole deal as far as that goes. But sponsorship, working the steps, going to meetings, and just staying in the moment, not future tripping or living in the past, is how I survive every day
Amen.
in recovery. So
Amen.
that's
So
my
when
story.
we
I'm sticking to it.
started to learn about the steps, like, did you balk? Did you say, oh, I need to do
Yeah.
that? Like, how long did
Yeah.
it take you to
Well,
actually say, I need to do this?
The first step I got down right away. I knew
Yep.
that I was powerless over alcohol, that my life was completely unmanageable. You want to talk about unmanageable? I'm trying to run. I worked in a big orange box store. I was a manager there,
Yep.
trying to run a store or a department. I was trying to run a girlfriend, trying to run a wife, it was just completely unmanageable,
Mhm.
And I knew the only reason I knew about AA was that my dad would take me to this church, and downstairs at the church was these AA meetings.
Mhm.
And I would
In
always,
Jersey?
in Jersey, yeah, in Several,
Okay.
New Jersey. And I would make big jokes like, okay, let's roll kegs in there. I was young. I was drinking the whole 9 yards. And but little did I know I'd be attending those meetings in that church.
Yeah.
One day soon. So, but it's just funny how life changes, how life is, when our backs are against the wall, or if we're looking at death, or guys, some of us don't even get this. I heard a statistic the other day, 27 million people in the United States are addicted to drugs and alcohol. All right.
Mhm.
And only 2% are going to get what we have today.
Yeah.
2%.
That's awful.
It's a horrible statistic. It
Mhm.
might be higher, it might be lower, but I'm blessed that I am in that 2%. I mean, all of us right
Me
in this
too.
room, and you guys listening out there, hopefully you're in this. And if you're not in this 2%, you can be in it. You can get in it. Make a phone call, call AA, call us here. However you
absolutely.
want to do it, reach out to somebody. Everybody knows somebody in recovery now. I mean, recovery, I wear my recovery on my sleeve. I let everybody know I'm in recovery. I broadcast it weekly on our podcast. I talk to everybody I can about recovery, because it saved my life, and hopefully we're saving other people's lives
Amen.
too.
Amen. Absolutely.
That's kind of how
And
I
something
did.
you said was making me say something. So, and I was like,
I'm here
oh.
for another 45 minutes, so you just
For
have
me to
at it.
think about it.
Oh.
So you were talking about recovery, wearing it on your sleeve. Yeah. I hate when that happens.
That's why I write stuff down.
Right? I got you.
I know,
I
yeah.
got you.
I gotta note
About
things
the
down.
the addiction and the statistic you gave.
Yes.
So I was always curious, like, why did I get it? Why did I get it at 20 years old and I'm 54 and I still have it? And maybe 5 years ago, I was at a seminar in Boston, and the doctor said, for those of you who just do AA without any therapy, you have a 17% chance of seeing your 10th year sober. For those of you who do AA and do therapy for 7 years, you have a 97% chance of seeing your 10th sober anniversary.
Right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. I was in therapy for the first 10 years of my recovery, not knowing I was making part of that statistic. But I was at the psychological center once a week, sometimes twice a week, sometimes because I'm losing my mind. I don't know how to do this, you know?
Yeah.
And
we don't know how to do it. That's why you go to the therapy. That's why you work the steps. That's why you have sponsors. That's why you get a network. That's why you go to meetings. You know?
That's right. You know, and that's where the miracle happens. I think it's just internal work and just garbage that you got to get rid of so that you can be free.
Well, the more education you can get on your disease, on yourself, on how other people do it, being around like-minded people. You know, I always say it's like we were saying at the beginning of the show, that I thought everybody drank. I can't tell you, except for some of the clients that I work with, of anybody in my life that drinks now. Like I did, you know, like, you know, you buy a red card and you see, oh my God, I never seen red cars before, you know, like that's what it's like. So, you know, today I really don't, I don't socialize with, you know, people who, I socialize with people out of recovery, but they have to be healthy. I socialize with people in recovery, of course, and you know, and they have to be healthy too, because there are some people in recovery that are not healthy. You know? And that's okay. That's their deal. But I know what I need from my sobriety and the people who I sponsor, and I give the best that I can to them. And that's how I do it. That's how I do it.
My tribe is hope dealers and Jesus worshipers, man.
That's it.
And then you're on my bus, you know. Let's see where it takes us. So I know there's a few things being set up here, and I just don't know. Hi, Kathy. We love you. Hi, Heather. Hope you're feeling better. I also wanted to give a shout out to ML Shaw. I don't see that she's on tonight. She had surgery, so I just want to say, Michelle, I'm still praying for you. And she had her 13th year of sobriety this year. So if you listen to the podcast later, Michelle, we are saying happy 13th anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Recover from your surgery. Days. So
it's a good life, and that also in surgery, and you know, you have to kind of be careful because you can get hooked on stuff, and you know, I did have a surgery in recovery, and I called my sponsor every time I took an oxy or whatever, and you know, and I gave my wife the pills, and you know, I do not, I mean, I trust myself, but I don't trust my disease. Just don't trust my disease. And you know what? I don't need that life again. I don't want to be back there. I don't want to die early. I don't want any of that. So if whatever it takes for me to stay sober, that's what I'm going to do. End of story, you know?
Wasn't it funny? Like, if you guys think about it, like, we would just throw anything in our mouth pop anything. Try to give me a Tylenol. No, thank you. I'm going to ride this headache out. And how different, like, life changes us, you know? I take a handful of pink, blue, and yellow. What was that? You know? And I'm so highly allergic to so many medications, right?
No, that is true. Yeah.
And then when you're speaking of the surgery, I was, every time I woke up, I didn't know what time it was, and I just thought it meant time to take another. So I think I took like 3 perks in the matter of 4 hours. And my mother goes, "Can I see those?" I go, "Here you go," because that wasn't my thing. Give me a freaking Coke, and I'm like, She's like, "Yeah, no, you're gonna ride this one."
Take not as directed.
But when you fall asleep and you wake up and you think it's the next day, it's like time for the next one.
That's it.
And I'm dragging my foot around the house, and she's like, and it wasn't even the foot that I had surgery on. I'm dragging it. I go, "I got a club foot." She goes, "You really don't?"
You got a club brain.
She's like, "You really don't? Can you walk normal for a minute?"
I was getting into my ex-wife's when my first wife, she got medication for her back or something. I was taking those, and I started saying, "Oh yeah, I have a back problem." And I called the doctor up, and I got some, but they weren't my thing. It just didn't do anything for me. The oxys and the perks
not me.
Just didn't do anything. If it didn't make me, if it didn't make me, didn't keep me up for 3 days while I can drink, thousands of gallons of alcohol, it just wasn't worth it. So,
No, just like that, there was a whole swarm of restless leg syndrome.
Oh
You
my
need GABA,
God.
Pet.
Oh my
You
God.
see people shaking their legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got restless leg syndrome. I'm like, no, you don't. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
I found
heard of it.
I found the great cure for restless leg syndrome.
A weighted blanket.
Weighted blanket.
Wait, no,
right.
calcium.
And
Makes it go
calcium.
away
Yeah.
immediately.
But if you take too
immediately.
much, you get Hershey squirts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just gotta be careful. I still might be a little bit of a chemist with vitamins, but
Yeah,
that's
same
okay.
here.
Yeah, you know, and that's the other piece. I'm very healthy. I run marathons.
And you just started running again.
I just started running again, thank
Congratulations, because I
God,
know
yeah.
you were out for a little
I
bit.
was out for 2 months. I had some stomach issues that were probably mostly in my head because I went for my colonoscopy last week, and which I was avoiding for a while.
Yep.
And it was all fine.
Amen.
You know, that was the stuff that was in my head. It wasn't, you know, and then I got the doctor. The doctor said everything's fine, and I'm running like a maniac. I did, I think, 6 miles this morning in the cold Maine weather. I was up in Portland, and you know, just got out there. But that's my place of rest. That's my believe it or not, my place of serenity, my place of where I can go to do my thing, you know, and think, get creative there. So,
right.
And I do all that stuff. I just kayaked 52 miles down the Delaware River. And we were going for 100, but things different happens. I'm looking to do a hiking trip to Mount Washington in January.
With who?
I don't know, a couple other crazy people. So you want to go? Okay. I'll tell you more about it later.
Yep,
we are planning something in January, February up to Mount Washington with a guide and all that. But whatever I can do.
Hiring a guide is key, especially when hiking with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll have a guide.
Me and my friend Beth almost died.
But of natural causes.
Dehydration.
Yeah, exactly.
We had to hitchhike back to the freaking bottom of the mountain.
Oh my God.
I came out in Canada. I was supposed to be in New Hampshire.
Oh my God. Oh, I believe it. That is funny.
So in your recovery journey, from the time you started to the time to today, what's the same? What's different? Do you sponsor people?
I sponsor people.
Amen.
I didn't sponsor people for a while,
Yep.
and just because I was traveling a lot, and I didn't have self-confidence.
Yep.
You know, I didn't have self-confidence, and through the pandemic, I got a lot of self-confidence back. I ended up going into a Tony Robbins program.
Amen.
And completely changed my life, man. I know it sounds hokey and stuff, but it really made me look at another level of my recovery. You know, I became a life coach. I still work for Genesis House.
You're gonna help me do my life coach?
I can.
Absolutely.
Whatever you need. Absolutely. But I'm more on the more energetic, the spiritual end, the moving people, trying to move that needle 2%.
Yep.
You know, we're extraordinary, but I try to move people to extraordinary.
Yep.
That 2% needle move, because that's what I needed.
That's where it changes your life.
And that's where it completely changed my life. So now I try to give that back also.
Amen.
So, you know. So that's kind of where my life is now. But the thing that stayed consistent was meetings, sponsorship, working the program daily, working the steps, and now I'm taking on sponsees.
Did you relapse at all at the beginning?
No. Oh yeah. Well, no, one time.
Amen. Okay.
And then it was all within about a year.
Yeah.
And I was from 27 to 28. It all happened, and 28 years old, boom, that was it.
Amen.
You know? And I did go to 10 years in. I went to the bridge. It's called the Bridge to Recovery. For some codependency issues. I spent a month there. That changed my life. You know, Cole, there's different levels of our lives, different places we need to get to. I can't stay just here. I just can't. And it's good to just stay here. If that's what you want, that's okay.
No,
but the next level, as I want to see how high I can go. You know, I want to see how far and how high I can go.
That's right.
And that's what my base is recovery.
Yep.
That's my base, to my running, to all my crazy stuff I do, to this guy over here, Podfather, and sitting next to me, everything. You know, that's my base is recovery, because you know, the podcasts that we do, excuse me, everything that we do, I fall back on my recovery. So that's really the thing that stayed consistent in my life. And the thing that changed was getting to different levels, not just staying not staying mediocre. You know, I just don't my famous saying is, I didn't come this far just to come this far.
Amen.
And that is it. That is the truth right
Amen.
there. I didn't come this far just to come this far.
Well, that's
in my
awesome.
recovery and in my personal life.
That is
So,
wonderful to hear.
that is it.
Yeah, so we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to hear from Michael or Mike, the
Podfather.
Podfather. I get it now, like the Godfather. So thanks for tuning in. We'll be right back with you folks.
Hi there, my name's Phil Leahy, and I do the Empty Chair show here. And as much as Fran and I have enjoyed doing this show, our real passion is with where it all began, the Circle of Hope, my support group for the families of addicts. I learned a long time ago that dealing with an active addict is just too difficult. So we invite you to join our group, the Circle of Hope. Give me a call, 978-886-2949, and you'll see our banner on the show anyway. And give me a call, find out what it's all about. You know, if you don't think you're ready to sit into a group, Fran and I always invite people over to the house, and we sit down, have a one-on-one, and we talk about a plan you'll have to set up, how to deal with someone in active addiction, or just give you a chance to vent. So, I mean, if you or someone you know has dealing with someone in active addiction, reach out, give a call, take the first step. I promise you that it won't make it easier, but once you understand what it's all about, you'll be able to deal with it a little bit better. So again, 978-886-2949. Just ask for Phil. I'm always available 24/7. Thanks, and we'll see you on the Empty Chair. Bye-bye.
And welcome back to the next half of the show. And it's an honor and privilege to have Mike here with us this evening, the Podfather. So, Mike, welcome to the Empty Chair.
Thank you for having me, Cole.
And thank you for your past services.
Thank you. Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to know you were not one of my arresting officers.
No, I wasn't.
Unless his mouth
remember you.
because the teeth were broken.
I'd remember you.
Yeah. Actually, I tried to hang myself in the jail.
Did you
Yeah,
really?
with my pants.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was so annihilated. I was saying the wrong name for my father, and they called my uncle, who was a Lawrence police officer.
Oh, really?
He wasn't impressed. No, well, he wasn't. Not at all.
Me jail didn't impress
I drove-
your uncle police officer. Come on.
No.
You know,
And my dad was commissioner. Yeah.
I drove the police wagon for 3 years. You know,
Yeah.
in early recovery too. It was like a punishment. But
Yeah.
I saw so many people try to hurt themselves.
Oh,
you know,
hell yeah.
and it was just like,
The shame.
to me, it was just somebody getting arrested. I didn't realize the traumatic, feelings people had
Shame.
and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I didn't realize that the people that I'm flipping out on in the cells next to me,
Right.
I'm going to be handcuffed to them the next morning to
Yeah,
go to
going
thing.
to court,
Yeah,
right? Oh,
and,
yeah.
and they can
That's a
swing
fun-
at you. Yeah, that
that's a
wasn't
fun
fun.
ride, right?
They
When you're
should have told me that
sober-
before I went in.
You're
They're
sober,
going to
you-
have access to be able to punch you in the face,
Yeah.
shut your mouth.
Oh yeah, you're the one yelling all night, right?
Yeah, I'm going to kill you. Wait till I get out. Really?
Oh, my
How about we
God.
don't even wait?
We'll do it now.
Yeah. So, Mike, thank you so much for coming and tell us a
pleasure.
little bit about your experience,
Well,
strength, and hope.
I grew up in Lowell.
All right, right there, we already say we forgive you.
Yeah. When I got out of high school, I joined the Army. I drank and smoked weed, and I grew up in the '60s. Did acid once, tried it, didn't like it,
Me
scary,
neither. Wicked.
But I drank beer, drank a lot of beer,
Yeah.
smoked a lot of weed. Joined the Army when I was 18, right out of high school. I graduated and went in the Army 3 years. Had a great time. Went over to Germany, learned about hash. I used to think hash was turkey, mashed potatoes, and sweet potatoes. But so over in Germany, I was an MP too. I was in the military police.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of drinking and smoking hash over there, and I did it, but I didn't do it like constantly. I did it on certain occasions, but drinking was always, I could be relied on to go drinking with anybody, anytime. But I never looked at it as having a problem because I really don't think I was out of control. Depressed a little bit, anxious about what I was going to do when I got out of the Army. I went in at 18 and got out at 21. And, I never went home. I never, my parents, my 3 sisters, I just never went home. I got married. I had a couple of kids. My second child passed away, died young, 3 months old.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And, you got to deal with that. I was 23 years old. But when I became a prison guard for about a little over a year, 14 months, and those guys, that was a good job, because those guys after work, they'd go down the Red Pines in Billerica, come hell or high water every night after work. So you work 5 nights a week, you drank 5 nights a week, When I left the prison, I became a police officer in Lowell. Dream come true, great job. First 5 years, didn't call in sick once. Learned to drink a lot on that job. Because when I came on, people don't understand, but there was an era, there was a change. There was all the old cops were World War II, Korean War veterans.
Yeah.
And, that's what they did. Once they got on their route and quieted things down, they'd meet at a bar and they'd drink. And this is why we were working. We got the job done, but this was a alcoholic's paradise.
No shoot.
Because you drank for nothing.
Right.
And you could have it anytime you wanted it, and you never call in sick because you'd be missing out.
Remember when the Stadies would just beat us? Remember growing up? I remember you down Salisbury Beach, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw a state trooper,
you take off, right? Scared to death. Oh yeah,
scared to death. And
sure.
How we totally lost.
When
that.
I came on,
When I came
on, I saw cops met out punishment that would make my stomach turn.
Right.
And believe me, I did. I'm not saying I didn't partake in it, but never. I had a lot of empathy. I was never someone that would beat someone for no reason. And I'm not saying that happened a lot, but if they told you to turn your radio down and you went back, the cops went back a second time. I saw radios get thrown through windows.
Right.
Guys get the shit clubbed out of them, dragged off to jail for not turning their radio down,
Right.
But it was for me,
Different
I was there
times.
35 years.
Yep.
30 of them I was sober.
Amen.
So I really believe, we talked about the police wagon. That was my punishment.
Yeah.
When I was out of work 17 months.
They put me in it. So you have to look to see if you were working in March of 1987. I'll give you the date.
I was sober then. And I probably was driving the wagon then. I drove it for the first 3 years of my, back to work. But I got an education too. I went back to school in my 40s. I got my master's in social work. I knew that I was going to retire eventually and do what I'm doing now.
Nice.
I started a business called Therapy Services in 2001. Yep. I graduated 2002. Yeah, 2001. I've been there ever since, out in Chelmsford.
Nice.
I got a license for alcohol drug counseling.
Yeah.
And, I'm married. I have 3 kids, very successful. All my children. My oldest daughter works at Lowell District Court.
Nice.
She has 2 kids, my 2 grandchildren, Brandon and Holly,
Aww.
20 and 18. They don't drink. They don't do drugs. It's amazing.
Amen.
These kids are like from heaven.
You have grandchildren
Yeah, I
that
have
are 20 and
grandchildren.
18?
20 and 18, yeah.
Wow.
And then I have a 20.
You are old.
I am. I told you. I have a 27-year-old daughter
Yep.
who lives in Boston.
Yep.
She's getting a master's degree to be a therapist.
Nice.
My son Chris graduated from Roger Williams. He works for
Nice.
Raytheon. Just got married in September,
Nice.
and he's having a good life. Great,
Mm.
married a wonderful girl, Claire.
Yeah. What do you think of what Lowell does for the epidemic that's going on?
Well, I think there's a lot more being done. A good friend of mine, Bob Cox, just
Okay.
opened a place called the Bridge Club.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of the president of the Bridge Club on the side. I didn't want too much notoriety, because when you're a therapist and a cop and you know a lot of people, everybody's calling you.
Yeah.
I got a friend of a friend, and believe me, I hate to say no to people, but you got to really, there's only so many hours in a day.
Yep.
And I also work, as you know, up at Crossroads. I've been there almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Up in Salem, and I run 3 groups a week.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So I'm always busy. I'm not a guy that can sit around. I'm a workaholic,
Yep.
but that keeps me sober.
Amen.
I've been sober from day one. My first meeting, Christ Church United in Lowell.
Yeah.
I was petrified.
Yeah.
I was a cop. I was afraid I was going to see people that would know me or recognize me or maybe attack me because I had arrested them, and I did.
Yeah.
But these are the people, and my sponsor, I had the same sponsor from that night till now, 35 years. Yeah.
Amen.
Jim W., great guy. He's been sober about 40 years. All he does is help people. I haven't seen him in a while. We speak periodically, always hug when I see him. But he taught me meetings, more meetings. Meeting makers make it. I went to, people exaggerate sometimes. I went to, for the first 7 years of my sobriety, I went to at least a meeting a day, sometimes 2, sometimes 3.
Yep.
I went on vacation, I went to meetings, no matter where I was. If I
Same
went to
here.
Canada with Arlene, I'd find a meeting up there. I
Yeah.
went to meetings that didn't even speak English, and I'd
Yeah.
just go. But I just felt like it was a necessity. I never gave up on going to meetings.
Nice.
Being an alcohol drug counselor now, I'm busy. I love helping people.
Yeah.
I make money, but I'm not killing it. I don't, that's not what my life's about. You know, I have a nice retirement. I do all right, but more importantly, I've helped a lot of people.
Amen.
I've helped professional athletes from the Bruins,
Yeah.
from the Carolina Panthers, from the Patriots. I mean, I've had people come see me that I've sat across from them, and I've been like, how did this happen? You know, they're paying me. They're giving me a check to help them. Are you shitting me? I'm 5'8".
Yeah.
You know, I'm old, I'm bald, and I'm telling them what they're gonna do. You know?
Yeah.
But I've been very fortunate. I was the EAP for the Lowell Police the last 8 years of my career,
Nice.
and some of the people that had ridiculed me, give me a hard time, they're coming to me with their kids and their grandkids. You know,
Yeah.
because not only did I have an alcohol problem, I had a drug problem,
Yeah.
cocaine. You know, 2 years, but it was almost 2 years and out. That's what really put me in a position, I think, to get the help I needed. You know,
Right.
Do the podcast for the last three years now.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. What's your podcast like?
So,
where does one find it? What, like, talk to
Well,
me.
it's on any podcast catcher. It's called
YouTube also.
Yep, Friends in Recovery. And we're doing a podcast called Answering the Call for police, fire, correctional officers, veterans. Not doing that as much now. I'm just very busy, you know. Ed still does the Friends in Recovery. And
Is that what I'm going to be on?
Friends in Recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Friends in Recovery.
and it's
Okay.
it's
podcast,
Okay.
something they do, him and Skylar, they do on a weekly basis. Friends in Recovery has turned into a community.
Yes,
It's
it
not
has.
just about the podcast, but it started out as a podcast. We would meet every week up in Salem at the Studio 21 above
The
What is
cigar
it? The
shop?
cigar
yeah,
shop.
yeah,
Where-
yeah,
yeah.
two guys.
Two
That's
guys.
what, that's that guy that you asked me about earlier.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
where he's out of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, that's right. I
Yeah.
forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
We're
up
up
there.
there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
we
can't go up there. Too much smoke.
we were one of the first podcasts
Yeah.
up there. And
What
we-
was the name of it?
Friends in Recovery?
Friends in Recovery. It's still
Yeah.
Friends in Recovery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Friends in
And,
Recovery podcast.
And as a result of that podcast, you know, it's grown. But the first 2 years we did it out of there. It was good, and it was expensive, but it was good. Got a lot of notoriety. We were I don't want to say the highest rated, but we had more numbers than anybody,
Mhm.
Nice.
you know. And I think it speaks volumes to what's going on in society right now.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
with addiction, it's not a game. It's real.
Yeah.
You know, I met a woman this morning. Her 34-year-old daughter overdosed last night.
Yeah.
You know, it's just really hard
It is.
I have 9 clients that have committed suicide in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I keep a folder with my death pool.
Yeah.
Good people too. I mean, people you would never expect it, you know. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard going to a wake as a therapist. People say, who's this guy? You know, he was so-and-so's therapist, you know, and you feel kind of responsible.
Yeah.
Because you just couldn't help him. But I've learned to, I have other therapists that I bounce things off of. What you said earlier, Cole, about mental health.
Yep.
I was about 18 months into my sobriety, and I started having panic attacks, anxiety attacks. Never
Yeah.
had them before. Petrified, scared the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
So I started seeing a woman, Schiffer Burke, Suzanne Burke, and she was unbelievable. She's an author. She's written a book called Together We Heal.
Yeah.
It's an old book. It was printed in the 70s.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's all about recovery. And I just feel like her interest in how I grew up, where I came from, why I was doing what I was doing, kind of triggered me into knowing that I had a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I mean, what good is it? Was getting me an extra 20%, but it made me go back to school, you know.
Right.
And when I went to Salem State, it's not easy getting a master's in social work,
Yep.
especially when you're a white middle-aged cop.
Yeah.
You know, people fucking hated me. They friggin', you know, all these liberals were looking at me like I was Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
I actually had professors asking me, why are you getting a, you know, like they were giving me something.
Yep.
Like, why are you getting a master's in social work? you know, and I try to tell them being a cop and being a social worker are very similar jobs.
Yeah.
Because all you do is help people.
Yeah.
That's what you do. And, you know, when I hear about racism and policing, and I can tell you, this is, God take my eyes if I'm lying. I've never in 35 years, 28 on the street, ever saw a cop do anything racist or make an arrest because of a race. It's bullshit.
here.
It's total
Same here.
BS.
It is.
You know, and Lowell's a very diverse city.
Yep.
Hispanic. Lowell's the second largest Southeast Asian community in the country.
Wow. Yep.
Right? California's number one.
Yep.
What is it? South Beach in California is number one. Lowell's number two. I've never seen it. And you know what? It really bothers me when I see it on the news and I hear these people that are being paid, these certain TV stations talk about it like it's real. It's not real.
It's not.
I never once worked with a cop that said, let's get him. He's black. He's Spanish. He's Asian. He's Irish. He's never.
The men and women in Methuen.
Same
I
thing.
absolutely
Right.
love them. And when I see like they have the empathy that you were talking about,
Absolutely.
and it's just
Right. Most cops have it.
you have to.
You go to calls that you don't expect. You don't expect to go to. You don't go to work at night and expect to see a dead baby or somebody hit by a car or a little boy hit by a car so bad that it knocked him right out of his shoes. And he's 3 years old and you have to go to the hospital and he's dead and his head's crushed. And then you got to go home and you got your own kids. You know, these are the things you see: people hanging themselves, bad car accidents, people jumping in the river. You know, it's just a crazy job. But you cannot have that job and be a mean-spirited person.
Correct.
Because you'll get weeded out so quick.
Yep.
Especially nowadays too, because there's so much focus on it.
Right. And what kills me about, and then I'll get off this, but they'll show you like the video of, well, this is how bad
Oh yeah,
it is.
yeah, yeah.
They don't show you the first
Right.
15 minutes of what transpired
Well,
before. So you're just seeing a shit show.
Right.
Really? Why don't
Exactly.
we see the whole thing?
Right.
That's why I hate cell phones.
Well, a good
Yeah,
example
I know.
is the cop who knelt on George Floyd's neck and killed him. That was murder. He murdered that guy right there. So there it is. We see it.
Yep.
That's one freaking cop.
I know.
It's not a whole department.
I
Not a
know.
whole country either.
I
Yeah.
know.
It just
Yeah.
makes me sick when I see that.
Yeah.
And the media just glommed onto that because they didn't like the president. They're gonna ride this out
Yeah.
till the end of I never met one cop that thought that was a good idea.
No.
You know?
Like what part of where was that? The
Right.
training?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I hear you.
Well, everything Mike was talking about, all that stuff, because we do a lot of work with at Genesis House with first responders,
Yes.
and that stuff is just drops in a bucket, like what he was just saying,
Yeah.
and it builds up the PTSD, the trauma, everything, and we were talking about mental health before. You have to have an outlet for that. I don't care if you're a cop, a robber, whatever you are.
Yeah.
You have to have an outlet for that. And
Well,
therapy
usually
is
robbers
important.
is
Well, right,
their
yeah, well.
their mental health is usually at the bank with a gun.
Yeah. But
Right?
but that's what you have.
Yeah.
You know, you have to, or you're going to end up using drugs and trying to get rid of it. And how many cops do we see doing that, Mike?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, with using one thing about Mike, and Mike goes above and beyond. I mean, with the show, we've been doing a podcast for 3+ years now. Not once did he ever, well, he complained once in a while, but not once did he ever complain. He was always there. We don't get paid for doing it. We just do it
Same.
because we love it.
Yeah.
And it's getting information out to people. But Mike takes on a lot of stuff that he doesn't get recognition for, that he doesn't get paid for, that he just helps so many people. And he says he helps guys. When he says he helps so many people, just double that, and that's probably a low number where how many people Mike has been helped throughout his recovery. That's a man I admire. That's a man who I definitely look up to, and definitely he's one of my inner circle people for recovery, no doubt about it.
Everything I wrote down, he said. So that's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you
So
can
did I
give it
leave
to him.
anything out? No, all right.
No, but you know, it's true. Like
Yep.
Ed and I met about 10, 11, 12 years ago. And, we've communicated and we had no idea what a podcast was 3 years ago. We really didn't. We're like,
Right.
what's a podcast?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then David Garoppolo was showing us, and then we started doing it. And
Yep.
then we had a few other people come in, Jeff Zeisel, Rick, I forget Rick's last
Oh my
name.
God.
Yeah.
So Jeff Zeisel.
Yeah,
yes.
Jeff was one of the
was on
originals,
original podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
If you go back to the beginning, you'll
He's
see.
out of like Woburn, right?
Yeah, Woburn.
Right.
Yeah, Jeff
Very
is out
good.
of
You're
Woburn.
very
Yeah.
in tune.
Yeah.
And I admire like what you're doing. When you're speaking, you're talking my language. I can tell just by the first 5 minutes, your personality,
The
know,
F bombs or the Ming?
everything.
F bombs work.
Yeah.
You know. I'm from Jersey, so that's like we have to say that, you know.
And this is why you're sober today. And look what
Yeah.
you're doing. Look what you're doing.
Right.
So we're preaching to the choir here as far as being empathetic and helping and giving of ourselves
Yeah.
because it becomes a full-time job.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I'm very fortunate. I have a wife that never complains. Not
Amen.
once. Not once. If I get up at 3 a.m, I said, hey, I got to go here. She doesn't question me or anything. She'll say, I'd be
Amen.
safe. You know, and my kids, every one of them, I'm blessed, you know.
Yeah.
They always like will say, hey, I ran into someone who knows you. My kids have never come home and said, hey, Dad, I met a guy that said you were an asshole. You arrested him. It's always just the opposite, you know.
Yeah.
So I think what you give, you get back.
Yeah.
I don't know how long this will go on. I'm 67. I'm hoping to do this another 3 years as far as my own business.
Yeah.
But then I want to take some time and do something a little different, you know. But right now,
Like a cooking
I
show
love
or
it.
something?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah, I
yeah.
can cook. I love cooking.
The
No.
Podfather cooking show.
Yeah.
But I just want to take a minute, Cole, and thank you for having us on this.
Yeah.
I had no idea you were here, and
Yeah.
I think we do know a lot of the same people.
We do.
But I really
And actually, I
admire,
know you now that you've been speaking
right?
because I go to the Lowell Opioid Task Force.
Yeah. Oh,
once
yeah.
a month.
Sure. So
But you also said something that I said, oh, that's where I met you. And it'll come back to me.
Yeah.
I'm just not all there.
that's all right. You're a busy girl. But
Yes.
it's a real pleasure to see what you're doing here in
Yep.
Methuen. And you know, Lawrence is a mecca for such a, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
Lowell's been bad, but Lawrence has been worse as far as people dying. And
Yeah.
it's just it's like when it's going to end, you
Yeah.
know.
93,300 died last year
Oof,
during the
crazy.
pandemic.
Isn't it
Yeah.
crazy?
And now we have it was a 30% increase
Yeah.
during
It's great.
COVID,
Yeah.
19% increase in suicides
Yeah.
since COVID. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Well, thanks for having both. Thanks for. I'm speaking for myself. Thanks for having us on to do
Yeah.
this. It's
Yeah.
been a pleasure.
it's awesome to have you
And I'm
guys
sure
here.
we'll do some more.
Yeah. So all right. So your podcasts are on.
So podcasts you can get on any podcast catcher,
Okay,
YouTube.
But so you're not live like this, like we're doing?
No. We
Oh.
record them. We're a little fancy. We get some little sound effects put in there, and I have a
Oh.
producer that produces
I
it.
swear a lot.
I swear a lot. Yeah.
So there's a lot of
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah,
the horns.
yeah.
Nice.
Over at Studio 21, we were live,
Yep.
and I remember doing my first podcast. I was like, oh, like we were like so stiff. Go watch it. It's funny.
It is funny. Yeah.
But if you go on any podcast catcher, you can listen to us there. YouTube,
iTunes, I have.
yeah, all that
Yep.
stuff. But we've been doing a show every week for the last almost 3.5 years.
Yeah,
now.
we got like 160 something shows.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah,
We've
it's
had some good
nonstop.
people on too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We've had some famous people on. We
Yeah.
had Chris. What was her name? Chris Casey. Kristen
Oh
Casey
yeah. We had Kristen Casey. She was Joe Walsh's
from the Eagles.
from the Eagles. Her boyfriend.
Yeah.
It was her girlfriend, and
His girlfriend.
his girlfriend, and she told some crazy stories because Joe's in recovery,
Yeah.
and now she is, and she wrote a book called Monster Rock Monster,
Yep.
and just the crazy shit they did on the road, like anything you think a rock
Awesome
star
lady.
would do.
Awesome lady,
On
yeah.
top 10 times on top of that, it was insane. Her
Right.
story was insane. But if you go back in some of our shows, you'll see Kristen Casey.
And we also had Kevin Dixon. We also had Kevin Dixon on, who started the show Intervention.
Yep,
Nice.
And he was a great guest.
Yeah,
I mean, he was
Kevin's
on. We've had a
wonderful.
few Boston comedians on and stuff. But more importantly, we've had people on that are just specifically coming on to talk about their addiction, their recovery, what they do to help people. And, you know,
Amen.
it's been a pleasure. It's been a trip.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Good
So
trip.
tell us a little bit about Genesis in case there's
Genesis
people
House,
out
yeah,
there that
sure.
want to know, like, how would one, besides calling me,
Mhm.
how would one get in touch with you?
So Genesis House, we've been around 30 years.
Yep.
We were rehab when rehab wasn't cool.
Yep.
Um,
Yes.
And now everybody opens up a rehab everywhere, and everybody's doing everything with with rehabs. But we're a 30 to 90-day program. You can give me a call. I don't know if you want my
you
number
can put
or
your number. You can put it in the chat.
yeah,
Wherever.
my phone number is 215-694-1994. You can call me if you want to come into Genesis House. You can call me if you need to talk about recovery. If you want to just stay low, whatever it is, I'm always here to help. You know,
Nice.
of course, I do work for Genesis House. My wife and I, we've been with Genesis House 16 years.
Amen.
I needed a treatment program for my 16-year-old or 17-year-old son at the time, and I didn't want him going to where I was working at in Pennsylvania because it was just in and out, and it was just wasn't a good place. So I found this place called Genesis House down in Florida. I was like thinking, oh my God, what am I sending my kid to Florida for? And I
Right.
did. He got out 45 days later, and about 3 months after that, my wife and I quit our jobs in Pennsylvania. and we've been with Genesis House ever since.
Amen.
Yeah.
Do we have
it's
a
just been
call? You
amazing.
guys put your headsets
Oh,
on. There's a
okay.
call.
Wow.
And I gotta
coming
say about Genesis, I've sent dozens of people there. It's a real reputable,
in. Nice.
successful place.
Who do we have?
We have Michelle. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi, happy anniversary. This is the 13th. She
Oh,
celebrated
happy
13
anniversary.
years.
Happy anniversary.
Michelle.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to thank the gentleman for sharing. It was really good to hear you guys. It brought me back. I grew up in Lawrence, and I'm kind of glad that I'm not the only one, and I'm not doing this alone, you know?
You're not.
I was like, well, they had Postcard then in Jersey, too. But, you know, with this a lot of drugs, there's a lot of recovery, too. And
Yeah,
I wanted
amen.
to
Good,
share that.
very
And it was just really good to hear you, like, about sponsorship in the meetings and then working in the field. I do work in the field, and it's definitely not just for the money, but it's really
We know.
Yeah, yeah, we know.
a satisfying job. I had a client tell me the other day, like, they could tell my heart was in it, and that I was relatable, you know, and they don't know that I'm in recovery, but and you know, they're in a really situation that they're really not exposed to. So, you know, in those moments, they don't come too often. Like, this is where my higher power wants me to be. You know,
Yep.
I'm about rehabilitation and raising people up, not keeping them down,
Amen.
giving them an opportunity to recognize the fact that there is hope still, and that they can if they do the work, they can have a life that they never even thought. Like some people say, a life like second to none. I didn't have a life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
true
true.
that.
Yeah.
That's a riot.
Right?
I think I thought, you know, but like, like I couldn't even dream this good, you know. I
Yeah.
wasn't
So true.
afforded that opportunity.
So
So
true.
you know, and it just you guys reminded me, like, I need to remember where I came from, and like that I'm not alone. And you know, and then you talked about my phone died, like it cut out. I walked in the house, it plugged in, but you know, you talked about surgery and stuff, and I just, you know, commented that, you know, hey, you know what? Newsflash, Motrin and Tylenol actually work.
It does work. Yes.
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 A lead too. I love a lead.
Yeah, and you know, and you know, I get it. Just my friends and family and people who care about me are just checking in. You know, like Cole, and like I gotta be mindful that like I can't overdo it either. Like I'm in recovery of like a surgery, and I need to like take it easy. You know, I'm that overachiever too. You know, so yeah, I just wanted, you know, it's good for me to check in. I love this show. I love you, Cole, and I love all the people who spoke. And you know, just thank you for your dedication and your commitment to the community. And I'm just really grateful that I'm not alone. So yeah, I just wanted to say hello, and it was really good to hear you all.
Thanks for
Thanks, Michelle.
calling. Feel
Thank you, Michelle.
better.
Congratulations on your 13.
Thank you so much.
All right, hon.
All
All right. Bye.
Bye now.
Well, she said that there's hope now. That was key, that there's hope for all of us in our lives. And you know what? Way back when, I thought I had a life. I thought having, you know, 8 balls of cocaine and cases of beer, I thought that was the life. I thought it was cool. And you know what? If everybody's listening, if you think, if you're using and you're still out there, I'm going to put it real simple, that you give up one thing to get everything back. Or you keep one thing and you lose everything.
Yeah.
You know, and that is just so powerful. Like, how powerful can something be that you're losing everything in your life because you want to keep just that one thing, your addiction?
Yeah.
And if you think about it, it just doesn't
An
make
addiction
sense.
to anything. and
Addiction to
everything.
anything. Yeah.
That is correct.
We're talking about our podcast earlier today. You know, gaming, the phones are addictions
Sex.
now. Sex is addiction now.
yeah.
All that stuff. Absolutely. Relationships are addiction.
Yeah.
You know, you name it, it's
Yeah.
out there. Food, whatever, work. You know, Podfather says a workaholic. I mean, too. All I do is work. All I do is constantly talk to people, help people, and that's somewhat of addiction. You know, but
Certainly.
you know,
Yeah.
it's not a bad one, I guess. Running, I don't know, whatever.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
So-
I enjoy that one. So
Well, I want to thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Cole.
I'm sure our paths will continue to cross.
Of course.
I appreciate when you come and visit me at the station. I definitely want to
We'll
hook
meet
up with
again.
you. Absolutely. And if you're out there tonight and you're hurting, you know, it's a phone call. We're a phone call away. Just reach out. You're not alone. That's the biggest thing. You are
No
not
way.
alone. And Sometimes that phone can be so heavy that you can't just go to your local police department and just say, I need help. There are so many police departments right now that have community engagement specialists in there that can help you. So please don't go to bed if you're hurting. Just reach out. That one baby step can open an amazing life, like you just heard tonight, of 96 years of recovery from the three of us talking to y'all. So thank you all for being here with us tonight. God bless you and stay safe. And God willing, I'll see you in a few weeks.
Stay
Have a
sober,
good night.
everybody.
Oh my goodness.